Hey there, toy collector friends and Star Trek fans alike. Welcome back to the channel. I'm the Triple TC, that's the time travelling toy collector, and today we are looking at the USS Excelsior. This is the Excelsior II Class version as it appeared in the second season of Star Trek Picard on TV. And this is a standard sized release from Fanhome. First of all, let's check out the box before we talk too much about the ship itself. There's the lovely model on the front. USS Excelsior with the registration, Star Trek Picard, Fanhome, the standard logo, side elevation of the ship on the stand there, blurb on the bottom, and here we have the traditional ship warping. It's not a great look. Ship warping effect on the side of the box, Star Trek USS Excelsior, and it's the official Star Trek collection all the way from Fanhome. So fantastic. Now this edition into the collection, this is an interesting one. I'm going to just pop it there for a second and then zoom in a bit more. Now we've got a shot of the box. Let's see if I can get that nicely in frame for us all. There we go. Now this is an interesting model, and the reason I'm saying that is because I got the impression from the box and from the pictures this was going to be bigger than it is. It actually feels, and maybe it's because I've got used to the XLs and I'm usually an XL collector, but this one feels really small and really delicate. I know most of them feel quite delicate, but this one really does feel particularly delicate. And it does present as being, I have to say, quite small. It's a lovely design, don't get me wrong, and I will get it in hand in a second and we can take a look at it, and I'll also do some nice photos, well hopefully nice photos for the outro of the video. Let's get down maybe a little bit, might centralize it a little bit more. We do, before we get into it, we do get, of course, the official Star Trek Starships Collection magazine. There's the Excelsior on the cover, being frankly gorgeous. There's lots of overtones of the Sovereign class mixed in with the original Excelsior class design. Again, there's another lovely shot of the ship. Again, there's lots of wonderful blurb in here. I'm not going to go through it all because copyright and reasons and all of that sort of stuff, but it does, I mean, they really present it as a wonderful vessel in there. As I say, I'm not going to go through the entirety of the magazine. But if you want to read the magazine, then by all means absolutely pick this up. I'm not saying it's not a nice model. It is a nice model. Is it one I would have reached out and purchased if I didn't have the subscription? It probably isn't. I mean, it's funny because I also don't have the XL version of the Excelsior. I've got the Excelsior Class Enterprise B, but I don't have the Excelsior, the original Excelsior. And I keep thinking if it ever sort of becomes available on one of the online retailers, or I see it at a convention, I might pick it up if the price is reasonable. But it's just never. I love the Enterprise B design, but the original Excelsior just never really grabbed me as a ship. So I think as I say, I've got this one because it's part of the collection. Would I have picked it up personally? That's a harder one to answer. I don't know that I would have done. But don't get me wrong, it is a very nice model. And that's kind of all I have to say. That's all I have to say about it. It's not the end of the video, don't worry. But it is kind of my stance. It's a really nice model. We'll take a look at the surface detailing in a lot more detail in a second. But I do have to sort of just comment, just to get it out of the way, really, because for me this is the elephant in the room. Just how small it reads, and it probably isn't. It probably isn't that small, but it reads as quite small. So let me get it off the beloved holder, and you can sort of see it in my hand. If I put it in my hand like this, and I know I've got quite big hands, but even so, it does sort of nestle there quite readily, quite easily, and I just feel it should be just a tad bigger. I almost think, and I'm almost surprising myself saying this, but I almost think this would have benefited more from being in their Excel range, part of their Excel releases. I think it would have done more justice to the ship. It's also really light, so it's a combination of really light and really small, or at least that's how it feels to me. Maybe it's just me, and my reading of it. Maybe it's I don't know why that's the case. If yours is different, if you have a different view of the ship, then by all means let me know down in the comments, because I, obviously always want to appreciate the thoughts of other people. But let's take a closer look at the saucer section here. You can see it does have some nods to the old, I say the old, at the point that this was airing, it was the old Sovereign class starships. There's the registration. You can see all of the escape pods and phaser strips there. Unfortunately, it has window decal syndrome, which is not great around the saucer section. But if we take our eyes off of that and look at actually some of the molded in detail around the bridge module and across the rest of the neck of the saucer section, that detailing is really good. There's some really great detailing in there, and what I'm assuming is probably the warp drive there, or the main warp reactors. Then we've got sort of the impulse engines there behind the saucer section, which are, there's a painted in red element, not translucent plastic, which I do think is a shame with it when it's, I do think it just pops slightly better, and the light catches it slightly more effectively when it's the translucent plastic. Then the rear hull is very reminiscent of the Excelsior. So as I say, this is the Excelsior II Class, and it's the USS Excelsior of the Excelsior II Class, as it appeared in Picard Season 2. There we have on the nacelles, because the nacelles are nice, we've got, we do have some translucent plastic there in the Bassard collectors, and we do again there in the sort of, what are these bits called? I mean, I know they're the nacelles, but it's where we see this section. I just wonder if that's actually called something. I don't want to call it like just vents, because I know that you can vent plasma through them, but there must be something else. If you know what they're called, again, please let me know in the comments down below. But they're nice and they do catch the light. And then we have the extended end point of that hull, and I do love the design of the nacelles here. Again, word of warning to collectors, these are fragile. They will easily break at the slightest buckling, so my advice, do not buckle them. They are, again, I've said this on other starships, this one feels appropriate. This one it's not as bad, but it reminds me of the Enterprise J, which I know how awful that situation is. So just be really careful with these, because even though they sort of taper out to the end there, it's just, it just does sort of scream at one of the more fragile of the designs. Beautiful, mind you. I mean, again, the surface detailing there on the secondary hull, absolutely beautiful, and not overdone either. They haven't sort of gone crazy putting a lot of detailing on there. Some of the tampos there's quite a lot of Aztecing, but it's not, there's a lot, but there's not too much. I think they strike a balance quite well. If we take a complete rotation, we can look at the underside, and again, similar story. The detailing is very nice, and then we can see the reason that this ship was delayed. So there we have. Now that's interesting, because the reason my ship was supposed to be delayed was because they'd recalled it to correct the error on the text, because I actually got a letter saying it was being delayed because they were correcting the error. But this says USS Excelsior, which is incorrect. I've only just noticed it. I've only noticed it because it's so small, I couldn't read it. So as I'm reading it through the lens of the camera, I can actually see it there. So that's interesting, considering I actually got a message saying that the reason mine was being delivered out of sync was because it had a typo on it and they were correcting them. So it's interesting. I wonder whether I should bother going back to them about it. I'm not, I mean, it's so small, I don't care. And actually it's one of those things where I don't mind it having an error on it, you know, especially if they've recalled other products and then got it correct. I almost kind of want to say, yeah, no, I've got one of the misprints, because I never get one of those. So that's interesting. Yes, it's suddenly gone up in my estimation. So again, we have the rest of the detailing on the hull, on the underside of the hull there. Again, there's that sort of nice, there's the nice shift in shades around sort of standard starship colours, and then the more metallic blue-esque paneling there. We've got the main array, the main deflector array there. And again, something that I think is a real nice carryover is this neck section. So if you're familiar with the original Excelsior and the Excelsior class, you'll be familiar with that neck section. And they've kind of kept that design in play here for this version of the ship. I think it's really nice. Now, whether or not that's supposed to be the captain's yacht is anyone's guess. But it's, again, very nice detailing. Gently understated, I would say, in terms of the detailing. And they've almost cracked it on the underside, almost, not completely, with that window lighting. Again, I just think much easier to not bother. Don't put the indentations in, just put the paintwork on, and it just works so much better. So again, as I say, there's nothing fundamentally wrong with this ship. I really, apart from the typo, I really like the design. I really like the quality of the detailing. You know, it is a beautiful ship. It just feels so light. All the weight is in the saucer section, but everything behind it is very, very light, very, very lightweight. So again, it feels nice in the hand. I suppose it's the slender. Maybe it's just an optical illusion because of the slenderness of the ship, but it just feels and reads to me as quite a small model, and that's possibly because it should be, you know, so big. But that's why I just wonder whether they should have just incorporated, if they're going to do this iteration of the Excelsior in the new fan home range of ships, maybe they'd have been better served just going all out and making it an XL. I don't know, maybe, but that doesn't detract from the quality of the build. I think it looks great. I think it's a really nice mold. I think overall the surface decoration, the mechanical detailing, the intricacies of the mold. Again, we have the letdown with the window placement, the paintwork on the window placement, but again, such an easy fix. It's frustrating that it's just not done. And again, I'm in the position where I've got one of those slightly inaccurate models with the writing, but there we are. Did you get that? Have you got this ship? And if you did get this ship, did you get the incorrect registry details on the rear? As I say, I got an email saying mine was going to be released in a different order as a result of this. So, hey ho. Anyway, this has been the USS Excelsior. What did you think of it? Do you think it's a great model? What other models would you like to see? Should Fan Home continue their run of ships beyond the initial planned 20? What would you like to see them bring to the table? I'd be fascinated to know. If you've enjoyed spending the last 15-20 minutes with me, as I've enjoyed having you here, please do drop a like to the video. And if you don't currently subscribe to the channel, it would be great if you could. It means the world to me, and it helps me get to my next subscriber milestone, which of course really helps me maintain my motivation and my enthusiasm, which, believe me, at this stage in the game, in life in general, is so appreciated and valued. Also, if you're interested, I do have a Patreon channel. I'll put the link in the description of the video, where I have a lot of stuff available for free. And in addition to that, I also have an evolution of the Enterprise series that's available for Patreon members only. It's as an exclusive, so go and check that out by all means. And if anyone is interested in doing the paid tier, it's as cheap as they'll let me keep it. And any money raised by that channel goes purely into the purchasing of stuff for the channel. It doesn't fund my 56 houses and international jet setting lifestyle that I absolutely do not have. But on a rainy day like today here in November, I wish I did. Thank you so much again for spending the last 15 or so minutes with me. I've been the Triple TC, that's the Time Travelling Toy Collector. As I said, you've been fantastic. And this has been the USS Excelsior of the Excelsior II class as it appeared in Star Trek Picard. It just remains for me to say that things of beauty really are toys forever. Take care. Bye-bye for now.